I think that the most important point to be an expat and I start meeting different people in different countries is to try to learn from the beginning, from the first days that you arrive in a country, what is exactly that motivates the people in that country. And when I started, it was very nice because I started in Portugal, and then you think that it's very close to Brazil because it's the same language, and you go there and you tell it's much easier for you to start in a European country that speaks Portuguese. But indeed, if you think like this, it was completely different because there are lots of difference of culture. One is Latin America, another is Europe. So there are so many different things. And when we start to try to find what is easy, what is more difficult, and what are the difference of culture one country to another, you will always find lots of things that are different. But by the end, when you start to intrinsically look for what motivates people deeper, you will see that everybody is a human being and everybody has the same aim, and everybody wants to be happy to live a life with satisfaction. So although it's different for each culture, when you start to see people would like to work well, people would like to have a work-life balance, people would like to work for a company that they are proud of, they want the company to be proud of them. So the intrinsically motivation of all of the human beings are the same. And when you start to see like this and look people like this, it changes completely. And then culture is just an added value for you to find ways to help people. So this was my experience. There are lots of things that I learned that you can approach differently in a country or another. But the intrinsic motivation of people and the way that they aim for happiness is the same in every place.
Okay, so tell me, since you have worked in a multiple country, and being a woman, how it was difficult, because when you go to the new country, always I've seen various videos has found it very difficult for the acceptability level. So how do you
Sorry,
manage?
I'm not understanding. Sorry.
Yeah. So as a leader, when you enter in the new country, it is difficult to accept as a leader, specifically the woman. So how you manage those acceptability level as a leader?
Yeah, I think that there are many people think, okay, there are lots of difficulties being a woman leader, and there are thousands of unconscious bias that comes in the head of different people when you were a leader. And I have started being a senior leader when I was like 30 years old in Hungary, and I was the general manager, the responsible of Pharma, and I had people that were even the age of my father that reported to me that time, that period. And it's funny because you are younger, you are Latin, you are woman. So there were so many things that I was different that it was difficult to know why people probably would be thinking that I would not be able to do something or would underestimate me. But at the same time, I learned very earlier that in all situations, what you have is to respect people and learn to be respected. But learn to be respected not because of authority, because of power, but because the authority that people will perceive in you because of your respect and how you lead them, how you try to find the best solutions for everybody together. So yes, there was always in all of the countries probably people that didn't believe that I was the person in charge. And then when I was entering a place with other people beside me, a man, they would refer to the man, and then after they would look like in this sorry face that, oh, you are the one who is the GM or the first person. But I understand, and it's always not having this kind of bad thought, and then just respecting the people. And with time, you will see that by you doing things in the right way, and by you respecting people and finding solutions together, and truly telling what you do not know, and being firm in the things that you believe and that you want to do, it brings to you a different perspective. So even if people, yeah, thought something about myself, normally I got in the way of working together with everybody that I met.
Okay, so can you share us your most difficult experience while dealing with your team throughout your corporate career, if you can recall something?
The most difficult situation with my team.
Yes.
Well, I think that the biggest challenge in my leadership life, it was leading Venezuela, because, and I think that mainly the last years of Venezuela, because it was a situation of managing lots of complexity. So it was not that it was difficult, because if you have a difficulty, is that you do not know what to ask, and then you have to master it, and then you go through it. But complexity is different, because you have difficulties, but also you have situations that you cannot predict, you cannot analyze, and things start to come and emerge in a way that is unpredictable. So managing complexity in a crisis is the most difficult thing that a leader can face. And I think that what was beautiful in Venezuela is that even having a crisis and knowing that the situation was very complicated, we always stepped back and we asked, what do we want, and not what we want to avoid. Do we want to avoid the crisis? Do we want to avoid that we are losing the sales? Do we want to avoid that? So there are so many things that we want to avoid. But instead of this, what we were telling is that we would like to keep the way that we were working in the past. We would like to keep doing the best that we can for the patients. There are moments that we cannot do what is the best. Then you have consciously to step back and tell what is the least worst. And this is complicated, because when you do not have the best solution and you have to choose by the least worst, is when then is the biggest challenging, and then your leadership skills are tested the most. And I think that it was my biggest learning also.
So, as a leader, we get success as well as the failure. We always talk about the success, but failure we hardly we share it. So would you like to share any kind of failure which you feel is a corporate leader you was your dream but could not able to do it?
Sorry, I didn't understand the last part of the phrase.
Yeah. So as a leader, do you want to share some kind of a failure where you feel it was your dream but you could not able to do it?
Well, probably I think that one dream probably is that I think that when I was in Venezuela, I would have to be able to face the crisis and then be able to support all of the patients, but it was not possible because the situation was very complicated. So this is a dream that I didn't realize. But I don't see it as a failure. I see as like almost a mission impossible. But if we are thinking about failures, I think that the failures that I had that I think that are the most impactful is failure about people. There are sometimes that you hire people or that you promote people and then you think that it's the right path forward because you think that people are good at something, and then you think also that these people will be able to lead others and put a vision and inspire others. And there is a difference. This is a learning that I had, is that not necessarily because a person is an expert and good in what he or she is doing means that they will be able to lead and inspire people and get their success through people. So I have made some mistakes about people, and I think that these are the most regretful mistakes, let's put it this way, because this impacts also other people around. It's not your voice is not
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. Managing complexity is the difficult part in the part of the leaders. So while defining your complexity, how you actually created your team uh, to manage those level of complexity?
Well, I think that the first thing is that really you to deal with complexity, you have to have a diverse team, because complexity means that there are lots of different possibilities and lots of different challenges that are coming at the same time. And as diverse as you have your team, more different perspectives will be perceived and noticed. So I try always to have a team that is diverse, even if there are people that might have conflict of thoughts. I try to have this kind of people because then you will really see different perspectives. And what I learned to lead diverse teams is that if you have a common vision, a common intention, even if you are discussing one specific situation, each time you have to find a common intention and a common vision. If you are able to do this, the diverse can be potentialized. But if you are not able to make these diverse opinions, to have a common intention, and might not be to agree with others' opinion, but agree in what they want to achieve and agree that they want to achieve together. If you do not, if you're not able to do this, then the impact is catastrophic, because each one will go to their own way, and then you can have a brilliant team with brilliant diverse people, but then if they are stuck in their beliefs, each one will go to a different direction. So that's why it's super important to have a common purpose, a common vision, and trust and believe each other in. And if everybody feels this belonging to something that they are doing together, then things can go.
Yeah. Now let me come to the your journey of India. Uh, Typically in India, uh, people love to have a managing director designation as a managing director. But if you look at your designations, it was a chief purpose officer of a Roche India. I mean, how you invented this new designations and going away from the very catchy and very attractive designation of a managing director.
Yeah, this was done by the team because after we started to implement a completely new approach to work and completely new strategy, the majority of the people, their positions, designations changed because we had to adapt to the new way that we were working, that it was not focusing on just the commercial, it's focusing on the value that we would be creating for our stakeholders, for our patients. And after 3 months that we started to work like this, I noticed that I am not managing anymore. I'm not managing. I'm managing very few things. I am mostly leading the people and trying to bring the people to the right direction in a way that everybody that is diverse, everybody that is trying to find solutions will be able to be aligned in this direction, as I explained before. And in this moment, we asked what is the name that I should have. And then two names emerged, that it was Chief Transformation Officer or Chief Purpose Officer. And many people told, the transformation, we will have to own it. You do not need to be here to tell that we need to transform. Transforming will be something constant if we know where we have to go. So it's Chief Purpose Officer is a much better name for you, because you have to be reminding us what is the purpose that we are here for. And then 60% of the people, and I put like it was a internal social media post where they had to vote, and 60% voted for me to be a Chief Purpose Officer.
So, as a leader, always it's difficult. I mean, very few leaders they understand the difference between the leading and managing. Because they doesn't want to cede the power and control what they hold. So how difficult or how easy for you to release the power and control what you had during your organization?
If the things are developed from the beginning together, and you start to feel that people are doing it and are feeling this empowerment, then it's easier. But I am a control freak. I am a person that I used to see numbers every day, see everything every day. So I had lots of difficulties. And in the beginning, we had to go to the other extreme, that will not follow up sales. It is important. It's important to see how you are, because this is a kind of thermometer to see how you were doing. But in the beginning, we started to be very extreme, and we started to tell, let's not follow up sales. Let's just look really for the number of patients that we are treating. There are some things some mechanisms that we started doing, so we feel comfortable, and also so everybody would feel that there is not a rush or a push to be controlling everyone. And the strategy the way that it was developed was asking people, involving people. And then when we implemented the surface of the strategy, who developed the rest was the team themselves. So when you start to see the empowerment, that how people use empowerment and how brilliant solutions are coming that they would never come if it would not be for the teams to be working with their, like entrepreneurs, like themselves, doing things for their own life and not for other company, doing things because it's their responsibility. They feel responsible for the result, and not because they are committed to an objective that they have to achieve or the paycheck. So when things start to go in this direction, then it's easier for you to get used and just let it go off control. But it takes time. And there are some moments that are very difficult, that when you see some challenging times coming and situations that are more complicated, you tend to jump in and control. So then is when you have also to take care. And of course, coming to a position that is a managing director, it means that in the past I had lots of control of everything. I had control of results, because this was how people would come to positions like mine. So to make this, to transform by really letting it go of control, it was lots of self learning, and I had to let it go of many beliefs that I had also.
So, there is a one statement people say, which is what am I and who am I? Every leader in his life journey try to find this answer. So what is your thought process about it?
So what am I and who am I?
Yeah.
So I am very clear. What am I? I am a person, I am a leader that gives result. I know that it's very important for us to understand that whatever we are doing, we have to have clear vision of what we want to achieve and how this will impact further the business that you are running, the society we are there. So I know what I am. I know that I am a businesswoman. I am a leader, and I love to lead people. Who I am, I think that this is even more intrinsic. I know that I am a person that I believe in human beings, and I want to create other human beings that believe in other human beings and that would lead trusting. So the what is really the part of the business. Look the situation, analyze, strategize, and help people to do this and find the best results. But the who am I is a person that wants people to be happy, but not to be happy, content, to be truly fulfilled and understand that there is a purpose, there is something more that we can do things. And by giving up on the outcome that is just for you, but thinking in a systemic way that you know that everything that you do impacts other, and then this will benefit others, benefit society in general, and this will come back to you, then it's much better. So this is who am I. I am a person that wants to create more leaders that think on purpose, think in the society.
So there is a one question for as far as India is concerned. Uh, I have observed in corporate world, it's quite difficult in India that team accept woman as a leader. So would you like to share your experience?
Woman as a leader here in India.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is India. You can perceive, yeah, that it's probably not so open to have women leaders. I don't say that it's not open, but I don't think that it's used to have women leaders. So I noticed that sometimes when I was arriving in some places, myself and my husband, or myself and another man, people used to direct to them and not me. When they were asking, when we were doing something regarding business or whatever, it was always like this, many times. But as I told before, I do not take this personal. So I do not think that they do, they think they see, they look at me and they don't think that I am able to do something. So I don't take personal. I just laugh, I smile, and I just act normally. And I saw that here very quickly people start to respect you, because respect is something that is very strong in the Indian society. There is lots of respect. And when they notice that I am a woman and then I have this kind of position, the respect is even double, because it's like, oh, I admire that you were able to arrive where you are. So then suddenly it starts to be an advantage, because people respect even more, because I am assuming, and it's not right to assume, but maybe they tell, oh, she must have had lots of effort to be where she is. So then the respect is even bigger. So what I would say here in India is that in the first time, people take you for granted. Um, they don't think that you would be the person that is responsible for a company. But after, when they see that it is, the respect is very big. And I never felt disrespected, badly treated. On the contrary, I was always very welcome and very respected here in India.
So would you like to share something about the most memorable stuff or most memorable thing about India while working here in India?
The most what? Sorry?
Most memorable thing.
Most memorable thing. Um, I think the most memorable thing, more because it was a surprise for me, was I came here and I I read the sutras, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and I love the ancient wisdom of India. And I thought that I would come here and everybody would know about it, because for many people from the Western world, this is science. This is pure science, and we look at science and we learn so much about our lives and how to live our lives better, how to, everything that people were talking about, thinking systems, connectedness, and how much one person impacts other, or one situation impacts other, how much you are just one part of the whole. So all of this is written in the ancient literature of India. And I think that the most memorable part is when I start to see the eyes of some colleagues, some people, when I start to make the connectedness from old scriptures to things that we are talking right now about quantum physics, or even when we are talking about system thinking, and I put together that this is all inside you guys, because this is all what you have learned your whole life. So you have the privilege to have this inside you, and you should feel very honored and proud of being Indian, and already have that you already have all of these inside you. And what I will remember always is this surprised look in many of the Indians, that they tell, oh, it's true, I have this here, there is huge learning. And then people is starting to talk about it and discuss this. So this for me will be the most, and for example, myself giving a yoga class to the team and showing meditation, bringing meditation. So this is the most memorable thing, that how much we take for granted the things that we have so dearly inside us and we do not value. So this is a memory and a learning that I will have from India.
Yeah, it's a great that you have given a lot of exposed to the ancient science of India. Though a lot of Indians don't appreciate that. They in fact believe that whatever the Harvard or Stanford or some Western learning is happening, it's a great. But it's really great to know that you actually exposed to the Gita and a lot of ancient science. So now my another question is from there to currently there are a lot of things are happening in the there are a lot of things very recently happened on the Davos in the Davos 2020. We talked about the climate action and the world is changed. So what is your thought process for Davos 2020 specifically for the climate actions and the impact on the business side?
I think that Davos was a very big gift for us this year, because it's when all of the corporations and the governments, they came into a common agreement. It's the first time that the risks that we have, the risk assessment of Davos, the 10 biggest risks are all environmental. It was never like this. And this is something that we cannot handle anymore. So it's not like you have a risk of the mass destruction weapons and you can control as a human. The environmental challenges that we have right now and the risks are out of our hands. And if we do not really think in a much, much bigger and qualitative way, the impact that it will have in humanity and in our business, in the economy, will be huge. So the beautiful thing is that this time there were some manifestos that were signed, some agreements that were, and there are so many work groups that are coming from this Davos 2020 that I truly see the movement that will come from all of the different CEOs in the world to be part of this movement to impact positively the environment, or at least to rescue what we have destroyed. And this will have huge consequences. This will have consequences on how the workplace will look like. This will have consequences on how incentives will be built. This will have a consequence on how performance will be measured. This will have a consequence on how not only the individual performance, but the performance worldwide will be seen. So I believe that right now we will start to see changes that were so much weighted, and right now we will have to start to think very differently. And if each one of us will not understand that this is happening, it will take us by surprise and we will not be prepared. But we can help this future to be created. And if we help this future to be created, this means that we are going to develop new skills in ourselves. We will start to see what is that I can do as an individual employee to have a positive impact in society, in the community, and how I can bring this back to my workplace and offer this to my supervisor, to my company, to collectively really help. Because many of the CEOs, many of the bosses, many of the people who have to lead this change, they are worried how the employees will face it. If the employees today do not have these skills, are they going to be afraid of losing their jobs? So there are lots of doubts. But if the employees will come up telling that this is what we want and will offer things and offer what they will need to develop as skills, it will be very welcome from the leadership or the decision makers of the companies. So what I see right now is that even the governments, they are aligning a lot and trying to see how they can build new policies, change policies into this direction.
So, post Davos, let's see divide among the corporate employees. So my first question comes for the employees. Employees will be one of the stakeholders. So, what kind of a skill now do you feel that
Sorry,
employees?
I'm not understanding you.
Yeah. So I'm saying, okay, what kind of a skills do you see that employees should develop in the next 1 decade, which will help them to grow in the corporate world?
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but
Yeah.
let me try to, you are asking what the employees have
What kind of a skill employee will need it to grow in the corporate world in the next decade?
So I would tell that there are three things that are super important. One is self-awareness. Self-awareness, to be very honest to yourself and know and tell what you know and what you do not know. So you have to be very much clear to understand what are the things that you have to develop, what are things that you have to learn. The second thing is the lifelong learning. You have to be a self-learner. You cannot wait for others to come and tell you what is that you have to learn. And with this, the third thing that I think that is very important is managing complexity, because all of these will be a very complex situation where you will have to learn by yourself. At the same time, you have to understand what you know and what you do not know, and then looking on how you will develop your position to the next challenges that will come.
Do you think post Davos the organizations are ready to understand who and are they going to become a more climate change the action they will take very seriously, or it will be just a conversation?
It's already taken seriously, so I do not have a doubt about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you know that I am super sorry, but I have a meeting 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, sure. So now we are just on the ending of another, only just 2 minutes. So just tell me, what is your best experience so far as a woman leader across the old continent, which you really want to, like to you say that this is the best experience I had ever been.
Well, I think that by the end, the best experience that I ever had, it's being a woman leader, is that is having the sensitivity to learn from my children, and then taking lessons from my children while I am educating them, and learn how to be a better leader. And at the same time, each time that I'm leading, I am connecting what is happening with something that I can apply in my motherhood. So for me, the biggest experience of being a woman leader being a leader, this is a bless. And I think that the biggest learning really is this close loop of not having a work-life balance, but having a life balance. And when you learn to have a life balance, then many challenges that were in your head and barriers, they just go away.
Yeah, okay. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for your valuable time. And extremely sorry that we got delayed, but it was a really pleasure interacting with you and to know your point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Satyen. Thank you a lot. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.